email sales@pivotworks.com to get a deal on a Vertex piston kit. Get the promo code. You get 25% off if you email sales@pivotworks.com. Full range of 2-stroke and 4-stroke pistons, replica, high compression, GP style, all of that. VertexPistons.com. They're pleased and proud to bring you our next guest of the night, multi-time American flat track champion, Jared Mees. Jared, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's happening, guys?
Hey, sorry to keep you waiting. We had a big quad debate on our show. It's a whole thing.
Oh, man, I was getting such a kick out of it.
How would you do on a quad, Jared? Where were we going to put you at a quad national?
Oh, I'd win it.
Oh, there we go. Hey, don't. Quad Army will come after you. Don't do that, all right?
Oh, man, yeah, it was a good one.
Listen, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Bummer about your series. Look, the Supercross guys got 10 in. You guys are getting ready to kick your deal off when this whole coronavirus struck, huh?
Yeah, man, we were at Daytona unloading the trucks, and we heard about, like, Trump getting on and doing the whole disaster, deal, and as soon as that all happened, we knew we were dead in the water. Like, leading up to it, like, I was actually out at Alden Baker's and hanging out, and they just basically canceled, or they just announced that there was going to be no fans at Indianapolis.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then, boom, I was driving over to, like, a Thursday fan thing for, the kickoff of our event. And they already announced that there would be no fans at our race either. And then we woke up the next morning, and bam, it was a whole different deal. We were done.
Yeah, it's crazy for sure. And so, we know the Supercross rumors and the motocross rumors. What are you hearing from the AFT guys? Like, do they have some sort of tentative date that they want to start?
Man, I really wish I had, like, I wish we had some rumors, honestly.
Okay.
Really,
yeah.
it's pretty quiet. It's all going to depend on each state. I think that's kind of every sport.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. So it's going to depend on each state. Right now, we are still scheduled to kick off May 30th at the Lexington Red Mile.
Okay.
But, we're kind of like everybody. We wake up every day, and it's like, what are we going to hear now? So I think it's cool that, Supercross was able to make some small announcements about getting going there in May. That'd be awesome. That would help us out a lot. Like, I think once things start going,
sure.
I think it's going to help things, like, keep rolling, So I hope Supercross goes for our sake even. I think it'll be one of those things where who's going to go first.
Right. I think you're right, absolutely. Jared Mees on the show, brought to you by Vertex Pistons, factory Indian racer in the twins class in American flat track. So from what I gather, Jared, you didn't win the title this past year, so you're looking for revenge in 2020.
Yeah.
And the guy that won the title was a guy that you sort of helped mentor a little bit, I guess, like a Stanton RJ thing back in the day a little bit. Is that what kind of happened?
I mean, Briar and I have been really close, and he's a little bit younger than me for sure. And years ago, he came on up and started hanging out, and we started training together. And before you know it, we hit it off really, really good. And I kind of helped mentor him just on a little bit of everything. Like, here's my financial advisor, dude, and here's my accountant, and got him rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
He was really doing strong. He was going good at the end of 2018, and then when the other Indian team, kind of split up and broke up, they formed another team, and Briar was kind of in the hot seat really for it. He was really kicking ass towards the end of 2018, and there wasn't anybody to pick really but him. And then his brother was actually on board too. So
okay,
he's solid, and it's just one of those things, man, where I helped him out for a long time, and then he came back and handed it to me.
Kind of like Stanton and RJ, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
I mean, Rick Johnson took Stanton in. Showed him
under his wing.
Yeah, and then RJ hurts his wrist, and next thing you know, Stanton wins everything. So
yeah, but I know Jared, Jim Hawley here. I've known you. I've met you a few times and stuff. Brad Baker, a good friend of mine. I helped him when he won the championship in 2013. But I want to know, like, when I rode for the factory Yamaha, Eddie Lawson. We would go out and we would ride motocross together. Do a lot of the dirt tracker guys still ride motocross as training?
Yeah, 100% actually. It's really tough to find like a flat track to go and train at. And man, they take like so much work, like the prepping and the digging up and getting the moisture in it. It's kind of a battle to go ride flat track. You spend like way more time prepping the little short track or whatever you got going to go out there and ride. And like motocross it's just easier to prep. You till it up, you throw some water on it, and it might be a little bit wet at first, but it kind of comes in and you're set. Flat track, a little too much water, you're screwed. Not enough water, you're screwed. It's like it's just I would rather just go pay my $30 and ride at a local motocross track with my buddies, and I actually feel like I get the heart rate way up and I get a really good workout out of it, and I have a lot of fun doing that. So I really do enjoy motocrossing a lot for cross training.
I'm surprised at that. I would think that, there'd be flat tracks and you guys would all go and show up and ride them. Yeah, I'm surprised.
About the only time you guys do that is after a national. When you're testing, you'll rent the track out on Sunday after a national and test some stuff like that, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And, it's usually not that fun because we go out there and make like 5 or 6 laps and come and make a change, 5 or 6 laps, make a change.
Right.
It's just way cooler going to like a nice, good motocross track that's solid and put in some laps. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish we could train for flat track on a flat track a lot more often. But the motorcycles, the twins and stuff, they're expensive. Not that a supercross bike isn't, but it's just a different way of going, I guess. Flat track too. It's like there's so many different surfaces and so many different like types of tracks and banked and limestone, and like there's just so many surfaces, so many different shapes and things. It's just hard to like find a good happy medium. So I don't know. It's way more cooler to just go moto. But a lot of guys moto, so that's what's good. Yeah,
you talk about moto. Kristen Beat sent me a text, and she wants to know who's faster on a motocross track, you or Brian Smith?
Oh, man. I think I got Brian in that department. He's a little bunch.
So what do you ride for moto? What do you have for a bike? Because Indian obviously is your sponsor for flat track, but they don't make a moto bike. So what do you have?
CRF 450.
Oh, okay. All right.
Honda.
Yeah. Jared, something that our audience would be into, I think, for sure, if they don't know you already and follow you a little bit, is you train with Alden Baker and his guys. What's that been like, and how's that program for you? Like, obviously, you can't jump in with Zacho and Marvin and all these guys and moto down with them, but so what kind of stuff do you do with Alden, and how does that work?
More on the advising on like the heart rate and the training and the weightlifting and, that kind of stuff. So he kind of advises me on that kind of stuff. You're right. I mean, like the supercross stuff is just way, it's so gnarly, you know what I mean? Like how I look at their stuff and I'm like, they call those whoops and I would be calling them like doubles, you know what I mean? So it's a different deal. So no, I don't do any riding at all, on the supercross tracks or nothing like that. It's more or less just him, advising me on the heart rate stuff and, where I should be and what I should be doing. And, he's got what he calls a method to his madness. So, it's been good. It's been great, actually.
702-586-PULP. You got a question for multi-time American flat track champion Jared Mees, brought to you by VertexPistons.com. Email sales@pivotworks.com.
Hey, Jared, I'm just curious, what tracks do you like better? Are you a blue groove guy? You like the cushion, you like to run it up high? What type of track do you like to run on?
I like the gnarliest, cushionist type of stuff. So I like Lima and Pomona and Oklahoma City Mile, and I like the bigger, cushiony, loamy type tracks. Everybody would probably say no. I would guarantee he would say Blue Groove because that's probably where most of like my success came from. But man, I love being done with a race and just feel like you went into like World War II, you know what I mean? So I love that feeling, dude, of getting just peppered down, roosted, filthy dirty, and just feeling like you just won a war, and it makes you feel like, everything that you did during the week with the training pays off. You get out on some of those like Blue Groove Springfield miles, and it's like your heart rate doesn't come above 110, you know what I mean? It's just like you're just riding around. It's so smooth and so perfect. But no, I like the gnarly ones.
For people listening in, talk a little bit about drafting, because that plays a big part, especially in the miles. Like, earlier I was talking to Steve and Kate about Shayna Texter, her weight and everything. She is phenomenal on the miles. I've watched her. And, that drafting plays a big part, and there's a strategy to it, especially on the last lap.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at Springfield Mile, which is the most legendary like flat track race we have on the circuit, the drafting is so key there. Some miles are like what I would call like a big half mile where it's just get it on and you don't worry about drafting because there's roost in the shape of the track. But Springfield is all about drafting game because the bikes are so close in speed and horsepower for the most part, and you just learn tactics over the year. You go to Springfield and you'd rather be like 35 years old and have experience behind you and know what to do on the last 5 laps rather than going there being 20 years old and just full of piss and vinegar. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
you're way better off going there with some like education, I would call it, or experience. And the draft is key. I mean, you got to play out. You got to know who the players are. So it's kind of a chess match at 130 miles an hour of who's the players, where are they strong at, where are they getting off the corner at, can you beat them to the line? A lot is going through the mind the last 5 laps for a guy that's trying to win the Springfield Mile. And if you're the guy that's able to control the race, then the feather's in your hat. But if you're not the guy controlling the race, then you got to come up with something pretty crafty on the last lap, whether it's a swerve, whether it's making the guy think to go around you and you kind of roll high. I mean, there's so many small little like tricks of the trade, I should say, that happens on the last lap of Springfield. And sometimes there's some middle fingers thrown after the checkered flag because the guy's swerved. You know what I mean? So
one other thing I wanted to ask you too, and this has been a debate. Ronnie Jones is a good friend of mine, and Kevin Atherton and stuff. But like I'm 59 now, right? I'm never going to go back to Supercross racing, but Ronnie Jones can come out and he can qualify for a national. I watched him at Sacramento a couple years ago qualify and finish in the top 10.
And how old is he?
He's 59. He's
oh,
my
okay,
age.
okay.
And he's making nationals. Yeah. He doesn't ride the whole series, but he'll come out and he'll ride one.
Yeah.
He'll qualify for the main and run like 10th.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, that's because like 11th through 18th broke.
Oh, Ronnie's going to be mad at that.
Ronnie's impressive, man. I mean, he's kept himself in great shape. I mean, you walk up and you see him, and you're like, no way, you're almost 60 years old, and
but it's probably got something to do with it being smart, though, right? Like what you were saying, Jared, about he's got experience. He knows how this stuff is going to play out down the race.
100%. Yeah. Like you see in motocross, right? Like, so everybody, when you're an elite motocross guy, you're usually kind of fading your way out, early 30s, right? So
right.
In flat track, man, I feel like and maybe I'm just being biased because I just turned 34 the other day, but I think you really come into a good prime in your early to mid 30s with flat track because you get the experience behind you and you get the setup with the bike, and it's not as grueling of a series in a sport as like motocross. You know what I mean? Like It's not as. I mean, them guys get 2 months off and then they're back in boot camp with going for Supercross, and then they get a week off and boom, they're right back into motocross. So it's like I understand why like Dungy said, man, I'm done at 29, and Villapoto, you know what I mean? Like it's like, man, I get it 100%. For us, we get a pretty good break between our seasons, and it's not as taxing on the body by any means. Like I go ride moto a couple times a week. And it's like I wake up and I'm like, woof, lower back is smoked. And then you go race a flat track and it's just like, yeah, no big deal. So, but yeah, it's all, the older you get, the more experience you get and the more it helps you out in certain areas, especially Springfield. And that's where, Ronnie has been strong at the last few years or for, his whole career. But he's able to go to Springfield and it's like, yeah, he's going to make the main.
Is it still Peoria that has got some jumps? Was that the one?
Yeah,
it's got some
TT,
jumps.
Yeah,
the TT. Yeah.
Peoria's a legendary.
Yeah,
it's pretty gnarly because how fast you hit that jump,
right?
And how fast you hit the jump and how far you got to like lean in the air. I mean, you know how like good Sipes is at Supercross and everything, and like he went to Peoria last year, and I know he didn't win it, but I think he got like 4th or 5th. I mean, he was there, but it's like he's a hell of a jumper, and like he.
He figured it out.
He wasn't no better than anybody over the jump because it's pretty crazy.
Well, and you talk about Peoria there. Chris Carr dominated. I think he's got how many wins there in a row, and then after him, Henry Wiles starts to dominate.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Henry's is a really good motocross guy too.
Hey, so again, I don't follow this stuff this closely. So there's the twins class that you race, and it's pretty gnarly, and you're a multi-time champion. There's also, like, in the last few years, the Japanese OEMs have a singles class, which is a motocross bike set up for flat track. Is the purses the same, and is the prestige the same as if, you know, for your championship versus like a singles championship? Like, is it kind of like, hey, I got support from Kawasaki or KTM, so I'm going to do the singles class, and yes, they're not as fast and they're not as gnarly of bikes and all of that. I understand that part, but is it sort of like, is it like a 250 Supercross title versus a 450 Supercross title? Is that more what it's like, or is it looked upon like an equal?
No, it's definitely not equal.
Okay.
I mean, the twins class is by far the most prestige, and you know, years ago, a couple years back in, like, say 2009, 8, 6, 7, 8, something like that, they actually tried splitting the singles and the twins up into two elite classes, to where, like, I used to run the singles and the twins to be the Grand National Champion.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then 2017, they said, man, this is stupid. Like, you know, we've got Indian Motorcycle wanting to come in and play ball with us, but they're saying, hey, we don't want to pay riders to go out there and race Peoria, the Daytona Short Track, and Castle Rock on a Honda or Yamaha or Kawasaki, and pay a guy to go race the Springfield Mile on a twin. So that's when they kind of brought back the twins everywhere. So we're jumping these things, which that's a whole other story. And then, so we're back jumping these things like they did way back in the Springer days and the, you know, Randy Goss days and stuff like that. So it's like history's, you know, repeating itself in today's world. And back before then, they tried to have like a singles champion and a twins champion, and it was kind of very confusing. And the prestige was always on the twin side of things. And so then they came back and said, all right, twins go everywhere, and then singles go everywhere. And, you know, singles is still, I don't want to say this in a wrong way, but it's still your, like, entry-level class. You know what I mean? Like, it's the first class you're going to enter when you become pro for flat track.
Got it.
You've got to be a certain age to run a twin. It's 18, where you can run a single at 16. So you at least got to run a single for 2 years before you get yourself on a twin. So, yeah, by far the twins class is the most prestige, and that's what everybody knows is, like, you know, heck, it's a purpose-built, crafted motorcycle. It's like a MotoGP bike, but a flat track bike. Like, everything's handmade and one-off.
Yeah, it's funny because Steve said, do I know anything about flat track? And I grew up in that era with, you know, Gary Scott, you know, Eddie Mulder, John Haley, all these guys. And, you know, back then, you know, Keith Mashburn, all these guys, they had to start out, you had to ride a novice, and it had to be on a two-stroke, and then you moved up to intermediate class, and then you moved up to the expert class. They had 3 different phases. And I think they're doing it the right way by letting the singles race, and you got to have a stipulations, you got to be in that class before you jump up, because like we were talking about with Chase Sexton, it's a whole different animal, a 250 motocross supercross bike, and then when you switch up to the 450, that 750 class.
But it is cool.
Gnarly.
It is cool that the Japanese OEMs, like Kawai's got a team.
Absolutely.
They invest in a team. Like, that's cool, right?
KTM,
KTM,
and Husky and stuff with Shayna Texter and those guys. And what's the kid's name? He moved up to the twins class, and he was on KTM last year. What's his name, Jared?
He was on a Husky, Dalton. Dalton Gautier.
Yeah, Gautier. Yeah.
I think it's neat to see. Like, I don't know if it's exploding in popularity. That might be a bit much, but for sure, flat track has come back in the last 5, 6, 7 years. From, you know, don't you feel like, Jim? Like,
I think it's come back, and Jared, you can attest to this. I think with social media and everything, I think it's coming back. We were talking about it before we went on air when, you know, RJ Reynolds, Camel, Pro Series, and everything. There was money back then for Springer and all the boys to be making back then.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was what I would call like the heydays. You know, they were the awesome days. You go out there and you win the Springfield Mile during the Camel Challenge. It was, I don't know, 4 or 5 laps and you won $10,000. You know, they were awesome. And you go to like Scott Parker's place and you see, you know, you can count them things around his garage. I mean, he definitely was making some coin back then. But yeah, flat track is the best I've ever seen it. I was a rookie in 2004, and flat track is the best I've seen it since 2017 till last year. I mean, of course, this year is is hard to say anything.
It's not as
But
good when
anyway.
you didn't win the title, Jared. That's not as good for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, right. 17, 18, 19 were the best I've seen it in just multiple ways of, television and of course monetary support, more manufacturers and OEMs. And I think a real big one was Indian Motorcycle when they came back out with like a actual purpose-built bike. Like these guys came in and were dead serious. Like, I'm going to build an engine, a bike, everything that is just purposely built for flat track racing. And we haven't seen that since the back in the day with the XR 750 and then the RS 750, you know what I mean? So it's the third manufacturer to actually go, you know what, we want to win.
Yeah, we're going to go after this.
Here we go.
And also, too, like the whole hipster thing, Flat Track came back with those guys, too. Like, people started, like, buying them, not the flat track bikes, but, like, the little cafe racer stuff leads you into flat tracking. I feel like that's part of it, too, Dude,
another thing that actually has been, like, pretty popular and I think actually plays a toll, and I mean, people will probably be like, dude, you're crazy, but the hooligans, like what Roland Sands was doing with the hooligans, like, dude, people, like, can relate to that, you know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm going to grab my bagger and I'm going to go out there and slide this thing and crash it into somebody, and I think a lot of it's actually helped us out in ways. Like, it's brought an audience to, all right, well, that's what's cool. Well, who's the best at it? Like, what's the best series to watch? Who's the professionals? Who's the guys that make this happen? And that kind of, leads them to our sport, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's two totally different things. I mean, these guys are out there with 800-900-pound baggers sliding these things sideways in first gear. And, dude, they have one hell of a show sometimes. But it helps.
As a former mechanic, I'm interested, like, do your, obviously the motocross guys, and you've been around it with the Baker guys, it's nonstop testing, it's nonstop suspension stuff and all that kind of stuff. You're in the works class, right? You can build a homemade frame and everything else, do kind of what you want, right? Like what you said Indian is doing. So do you change much from year to year, or are you riding the same bike? Like, I mean, obviously there's small changes, but once you dial in your setup, I think you're dialed, right? Or is it more testing than that?
Once you dial in your setup, you're pretty close. One thing about flat track, it's kind of, you get something going, and like the geometry on our frames is a very similar geometry than what it was 20 years ago.
Is it really?
Head angle, like the head angle, the pivot to the countershaft sprocket. Like, those numbers are so close, man, that you would be like, dude, you guys are stuck in. There's got to be something better than this. Like linkage, for example. Like, linkage is, how many seconds a lap faster a non-linkage motocross bike versus a linkage? Like, it's incredible, right? Flat track right now today, I would pick a non-linkage bike over a linkage bike in a heartbeat. Right now, there isn't one motorcycle out on the starting grid that I know of that goes around, that has went around the track faster with linkage. Like, everybody runs non-linkage. I've tried it, I've tested it.
Right.
It makes sense why it should work, but you put it on your bike, and it don't work. It's so frustrating. Like, my suspension guy's like kicks himself every time. Like, this should work. Why doesn't this work?
That's funny.
Why is that, though? Why doesn't it work? Too much flex in the corner and stuff when you're getting on the throttle coming out of, say, like turn 2, it's not hooking up?
Dude, it doesn't hook up. It doesn't go forward. Like, I had one built for the Indian, and I tested it, and I thought this was awesome. And I went to the race, and I'm like, this sucks. I'm out. Put the old stuff back on, and we're going that direction. You know what I mean? Just upside down forks. We're still running conventional 43 millimeter skinny flexi forks, and it's because of the flex. Bolt on really big, thick, heavy, 58 millimeter forks or whatever they are.
They don't work.
It don't work better. You know what I mean?
That's
it's
funny.
Like, this should work better. Why? I mean, sometimes the TTs and stuff with the braking, it's like, it's a little bit better, but dude, most guys are running still 2002 conventional style CBR 600 front forks and stuff like that. Like, that's,
Right.
I'm curious on the head stay. What 28 degree angle?
We're more like around 22 to 25.
Wow!
Look at Jim just throwing in the head angle for a flat track.
Got all the numbers here.
So
what do you guys?
The winter cookbook over there.
So what do you guys actually like focus on race day? Like changing, you guys say a lot of your stuff stays the same once you have a setting, but like on race day, track to track, like what are you guys changing and really focusing on to find those tenths here, tenths there?
Our number one thing that we probably change at the races is the rear sprocket. Which I know sounds like, what? but we have a stack of sprockets from like a 36 rear tooth sprocket all the way up to a 55. And of course, like if I'm going to the Springfield mile or a mile, I know I'm going to be between like a 36 to a 42. So you kind of have an idea, all right, I'm going there.
Yep.
But you go from track to track to track, and we use each one of those sprockets throughout the season. Each one.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot of differences.
Motocross, Supercross, I'm guessing they probably kind of bolt their stuff on, and they might be within a tooth, or maybe they don't even change that.
No,
stuff.
yeah, it's usually a tooth or two. Two is a huge change.
Yeah.
Dude, I go to Springfield Mile every year. We go there twice a year, and I bet you every time I've gone there, I have went up a tooth, down a tooth, up 2 teeth, down 2 teeth. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been there, you know, however many times, and of course they don't change the size of the track or anything. It's just how much moisture is there, how fast it is, how far up the track are we riding, how
where you're sitting on the bike or anything like that. Yeah.
Do you change gearing in between a heat race and the main event?
Oh, numerous times. I change it twice sometimes, overthinking.
See, that would freak me out. That would freak me out.
Like Chad Reed, you know, sometimes he'll change the front wheel.
Good point.
You know, he runs a different tire in a heat race than he does in the main event.
Yeah. Jared, is the worst thing about the resurgence of American flat track, is the worst thing been Jason Wygant? Do you feel like that's the worst addition to the series?
Yeah, probably. You nailed that. I think how much to throw out there on that one.
Exactly. I could totally see that for sure. Hey, also too, we share a good buddy, Big Nasty. Nick Way's old mechanic is a buddy of yours?
Yeah. We do in Michigan, when I go back up there for the summer, we do a big Tuesday night group bicycle ride.
Oh, yeah.
And I know him from letting him tow me around on the bicycle. I should say I tow him around now. And it's Pickles,
yeah, Mandingo Pickles, go get him. Big Nasty, good guy, solid guy,
great guy.
Yeah,
quiet, strong on a bicycle.
Yeah, I know. He's a big bicycle guy. So, hey, well, go ahead, Kay.
Hey, we were talking earlier about, was it airbag fences or?
Yeah, air fences. Are they running the air fences at some of those miles, so you don't get into the guardrails?
Yeah, 100%. We've had those. Probably 12 years now, 10 years at least.
Yeah.
They really are awesome. I mean, there's no other word for them things but awesome. Wish we had more of them. You know, we have enough to do the main high impact areas, and that doesn't mean we don't have enough to even do the whole corners, but they've saved lives, and I've gotten into them. They've saved me. They're awesome. And then, you know, we got the airbag suits now too. Like Alpine Star's got an actual airbag suit, and that's awesome as well.
Oh, you guys wear that? Okay, yeah, that thing's pretty cool.
How's that? How does that work,
dude? It's a sensor. There's a sensor in it, and as soon as it senses that you're off tilt or you're off axis or speed and gravity sensor, I think, right, Jared? What is it?
Yeah, you hit it one of those times.
Yeah, and it knows you're off the bike, and it goes poof. It blows up.
Yeah. It's loud. It actually scared the shit out of me one time. I went, I don't know, won the heat race or something, and I went to like jerk on the handlebars to try to, do a wheelie, and it must have sensed the motion it never was used to, and it popped that thing. And dude, it sounded like a guy going by me 40 mile an hour faster and slapped me in the back of the jacket, dude. It was so loud. But they're actually mandatory
that's awesome.
now for 2020.
So this guy you mentored a little bit and set up, like, are you rivals now? Are you guys still bros? With this Pulp MX show, we got to get to the bottom of this. Are things tense now? Yeah, are things tense?
No, we're not too bad. I mean, we actually motoed a lot this winter together, training for the, it's just a little bit different mentality. Like my mentality is, you know who else, dude? I meant to tell you. You know who else I actually motored with? He was my biggest training partner all winter long this winter.
Who?
We linked up 3 days a week, and he made me a better rider, and I got to say thank you to him. It's Tony LaRusso.
Oh,
Tony.
LaRusso.
Yeah, LaRusso.
Oh, nice.
LaRusso. He was down here. He lived 30 minutes north of me.
Yeah.
Down here. And I text him, hey, dude, Orlando MX Tuesday. Okay, cool, see it. PAX Thursday. Okay, see it.
Yeah.
And, dude, I'm the type of guy, dude, like, I want to go moto. I want to ride. I want to bicycle with someone that's better than me. Like, I want to chase somebody.
Right.
And Tony was awesome. I mean, he would feed it, and some of the other guys, you go out and ride, and, like, I'll cut the track, and I'll get behind somebody and I'll be battling. It's like, hey man, why'd you cut the track? Why? It's like, well, dude, I came here to race. You know what I mean? Like, it's practice, but I want to race. I want to compete. Like, I want to make it fun where we come back next week, you know? And some people aren't as cool with that. You know, they want to keep their distance, and it's all good. But Tony, nah.
Yeah.
We throw down sometimes. It was fun. We had a great time.
He's a legend. Yeah,
Well, I didn't really realize it. And my buddy Craig Pickett was like, dude, that's Tony LaRussa. This was like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Well, yeah. And then I came home and started Googling him. I'm like, dude, this guy was bad.
No, he was good, man, for sure. Well, hey, man, thanks for jumping on tonight. I appreciate it.
Dude, thanks a lot for having me.
No problem. It's interesting, and thank God I had Jim Hawley in studio here.
Gosh, right? This guy just knows everything.
Yeah, just flat track guy.
I think you came to Pomona a couple times, didn't you?
Oh yeah. No, I try to hit a couple, 2, 3 a year. I enjoy it. Like I said, my dad was a dirt tracker, and I grew up Trojan Speedway racing against Wayne Rainey, and he went to dirt track and I went to motocross and supercross, just a different way. But I really enjoy dirt tracking. Could never figure out the draft.
For you?
Pardon me?
Where'd you say home was for you?
Los Angeles. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, you're Pomona guy for sure.
Oh yeah. No, I love Pomona. That was I was gonna try to go to Paris this year, but now I don't know. Who knows when it's gonna happen? You know.
I would kind of say that one's off.
We went in 2002 before the Supercross. Nick Way, I was working for Nick as his mechanic. We went to the flat track on Thursday before the Supercross.
Yep.
And Springsteen was still racing. Yeah. And he was just sitting there in a lawn chair smoking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fucking guy's a legend. Like, and he looked old. Like, he looked like there was some time on him. And I'm like, Nick, like, that guy isn't on any Sunday. Like, that guy's, I think he was on any Sunday. I'm like, that guy's a hero.
Well, no, I don't know if Springer was on any Sunday, but you're probably thinking about
maybe on any Sunday too.
Mert Lawwell and all those guys were the original guys. Yeah, Jim Rice, all those guys, and David Aldana.
I mean, he's a legend.
He is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
there's probably no one more legend in flat track than Springer, man.
Yeah,
like that guy. You know, like you said, I don't know how many times I heard that story. Like, dude, I seen that guy smoking. The best one is when we had a red flag and we're hanging out in the hot box, and he just lights one up in the hot box. You know what I mean? Like, he just like calms them down, you know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, it was cool to see him. I thought it was cool just to see him. Like, I can appreciate what a hero he is.
He's a good guy too. Him and Scotty Parker, Atherton, all those guys. I have mad bike skills with those guys, especially on those miles.
Sure.
Thanks for coming on, Jared. Let's get you back on again, especially like the fact that you insulted Wygant. That makes me really happy. So we can get you back on anytime, man. Well, hey, whenever this thing starts, good luck and everything, and you got my number now, so don't be scared to reach out.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, and good luck with the quad guys, huh?
Oh, God, yeah. We got to deal with that.
You got to watch out. Maybe he's going to sign you up, and you're going to be in on there, too.
Yeah, Mees and Brayton and Kiefer, Racing Quad Nationals.
I laughed when he said that they didn't have a chance. I mean, come on. It can't be that hard.
I got a text from somebody that said, it's too bad that Kate is Team Quad.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Jared, thank you, buddy.
Thank
you. That's Jared Mees, everybody. Multi-time American flat track champion. Nice guy. Good guy.
Yeah, real good
Glad
guy.
to have him on. And like I said, what a perfect guy to have for a co-host here.
I was lost, man.
Yeah, I mean, you were like, huh?